Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, this podcast is brought to you by Final Form Supplements. Final Form Supplements is a supplement brand with honesty labeling. So the labeling in supplements is Wild Wild West. Sometimes labels aren't honest. They have things in there that's on in there. We don't have to worry about that with Final Form Supplements. We got everything you need from protein powder, creatine, skin care, soap for your skin, handcrafted soap, and we have all kinds of things. Go to finalformsubs.com, that's SUPPS, finalformsubs.com, use promo code COACHSTRIB, all caps, no space, get 10% off your order, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe on whichever video you're watching here at Ivy Talks Podcast Network, and enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the WNBA coverage. If you are new here, go ahead and subscribe so you can stay tuned. If you're not new, welcome back. We're getting straight into it. We have 2 weeks left in the regular season for the WNBA. So we're going to be winding down. There are some teams fighting for different spots and players that are fighting for the top spot in statistical categories. So we're going to get straight into the standings starting off. So in the East, not much has really changed. So in the East, New York Liberties 1, Connecticut Suns 2, Indiana Fever 3, Chicago Sky 4, Atlanta Dream 5, Washington Mystics 6. In the West, we got Minnesota Lynx 1, Las Vegas Aces 2, Seattle Storm 3, Phoenix Mercury 4, Dallas Wings 5, and the LA Sparks 6. We'll come back because I have some notes. I want to kind of get a little more detail in the standings as we have 2 weeks left and teams are fighting for seeds or to get in. But real quick, statistical leaders, we have Angel Wilson's been at the top spot the entire season, 27.3. And then one quick note, she actually missed the last game, which this last game she missed is the first game she has missed since 2019. So she's been very durable, and I just thought that was a pretty crazy stat that she hasn't missed a game in just about 5 seasons, which is crazy. Rebounds per game, Angel Reese at 13.1. Assists per game, Caitlin Clark 8.5. Steals per game, Agumbole 2.3. And blocks per game, Angel Wilson at 2.7. So getting back into the standings real quick, I wanted to talk about, I know last episode we talked about how the Chicago Skies and the Atlanta Dream are neck and neck. They were tied last week. This week, Chicago Sky is 1 game ahead of the Atlanta Dream. Atlanta Dream lost their most recent game. Chicago, so it's 1 game ahead of the Atlanta Dream, and them two are fighting for that last spot. But I do want to mention that we got to keep an eye on the Washington Mystics because they're only 2 games behind Chicago Sky. They're 1 game behind the Atlanta Dream. So we could have a 3-way fight for that last spot because the top 8 teams make it to the WNBA playoffs, and there are 3 teams really fighting for that spot. They're all within 2 games of each other. So it's really going to come down to these last 2 weeks for both teams. In the West, we talked about how the earlier on in the season, we talked about the Phoenix or the Minnesota Lynx, Las Vegas Aces, and the Seattle Storm were kind of really tight there between 1, 2, and 3. The more recent episode, we talked about how the Minnesota Lynx have kind of created some separation. They still have a decent lead. They are 4 games ahead of the number 2 spot, but the Las Vegas Aces have the number 2 spot. Seattle Storm have the number 3 spot. They've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth all season, and the Las Vegas Aces are 1 game ahead of the Seattle Storm. So again, it's still tight. Seattle Storms do have a chance to potentially take that number 2 spot. And again, the seedings for East and West, they don't really matter because it's just the top 8 teams that make it just off a pure record. So it's not the top 8 in each, obviously not top 8 in each conference. There's only 12 teams. So there's 6 in the East, 6 in the West. So it's just the top 8 best records. So it doesn't really matter, but I like to break it down like that because they are conference games or a little more, they just kind of mean a little more. But higher you are in your conference, good chance you are being higher in the overall rankings. So Seattle and Las Vegas, they have clinched their spots. So they're making it no matter what, but they are fighting for that specific seed. I believe Las Vegas Aces are at the 4th or 5th seed. I believe it's the 5th seed. Actually look on. Yes, they're at the 5th seed, so they're trying to keep that 5th seed with the Seattle Storm at the 6th spot, just to give you a little more detail there. So now we're going to move on to some shout outs here. Number one shout out, Skylar Diggins-Smith for the Seattle Storm. She has the single season assist record for that franchise. So shout out Skylar Diggins-Smith. Aja Wilson, she moves to 6th all-time in double-doubles at 97. She's also having a phenomenal year. And we will also, once the awards get announced for MVP, points leader, rebound leader, etc. Well, points, rebound leaders will know that once the season's officially over. And then things like Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, etc. We'll have those winners as well in the shout-outs. Rickea Jackson for the LA Sparks, the 4th LA Spark rookie to reach 400 points their rookie season. So she is killing. I feel like she's kind of not getting the media coverage she should. And it's kind of being, I think she's very underrated. She is an absolute bucket. She's an absolute go-getter. She's not, obviously with Hamby being kind of like the focal point of the number one option. With Hamby there, she's averaging close to 20 points per game. I do believe that Rickea Jackson has potential to be a stellar all-star caliber player for the LA Sparks. And when Brinks comes back, because she's out for the season, you got Hamby, Brinks, and Rickea Jackson. Just to mention, a few names, I think that LA Sparks team has the potential to be a really, really dangerous team in the next couple years. Next, we have Alyssa Thomas. She finished with a triple-double, 12 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. She has the WNBA leading 3 triple-doubles this season, and she recorded her 11th career triple-double in the regular season, which is the most in league history. So she is Miss Triple-Double for the W. So shout out Alyssa Thomas. Aaliyah Boston for the Indiana Fever. She scored a career-high 30 points and with 13 rebounds as well in the same game. Caitlin Clark, shout out Caitlin. So this is the 2-part shout out, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. Aaliyah Boston, 30 points, 13 rebounds, career high. Caitlin Clark, 26 points and 12 assists for their win over Atlanta this past week. So shout out Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark. Those two look like they could be the focal point for this Indiana team moving forward. And I'm excited to see how that Indiana Fever team develops as the seasons go on. Last but not least, Napheesa Collier. We've talked about her plenty of times. She was also kind of in the talks of the points and rebounds and things like that. She is absolutely having a phenomenal season. She scored 19 points and 12 rebounds, 19-point double-double, and she has led that Minnesota Lynx team, number one team in the East. Making sure. No, I'm sorry. That's the West. Leading that team for the West. Sorry, I got that mixed up. She's leading the team in the West. The Minnesota Lynx have won 10 of their last 11 games, and that's kind of how we saw them separating themselves from the Aces and the Seattle Storm. So shout out to Napheesa Collier and the Minnesota Lynx. They are playing really good ball. So that's going to be all for that. Again, we have 2 weeks left in the regular season, and then we're getting straight into playoffs. So I'm excited to see the final 8 that make it in, see the seeding, and then we'll get to talk about some playoff predictions, what teams need to do against other teams, the game plans, and et cetera, and just watching the WNBA playoffs. So I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.